Welcome to the Filmcast review of The Shadow Strays by Timo Tjahjanto. I'm going to read the plot summary of this movie from the internet. Skilled in the art of killing, a young assassin defies her mentor to save a boy from a ruthless crime syndicate. End quote. Now, I want to read a post on Twitter, now X, from Timo. About this movie. He said he posted this like a few days ago. He said, "For a lot of you, The Shadow Strays will be out today. For some tomorrow. Thank you for your willingness to spend 144 minutes of your life for the film. It's a film that's dear to my heart. A personal challenge for me to make a hardcore action tale utilizing a new breed of younger talents who have no background in action cinema. In this case, all cast, I feel, delivered in spades, including Aurora as Agent 13, who I proudly call my cinematic kid. She'll go far and beyond. It's also a love letter for the cinema of John Woo, Takashi Miike, Besson, to some extent, the scummy, desperate world of Abel Ferrara. Your viewing means a great deal for not only me, but for the prevailing proof that there's an audience for a movie such as this one. I hope to make more of these. Excited to see how far I can push it further. Close the curtains, crank up the volume, and happy watching." End quote. Devindra, he's invoking some really heavy hitters.
Yes.
With that one, right?
I mean,
John
he has
Woo,
done
Miike.
John Woo, yeah. He's basically also invoked them with his other films too, which I've really liked. Like, what was it? The Night Comes for Us, Headshot, which was a lot of fun. These were action movies on Netflix that did pretty well, I think, globally too.
Yeah. So he's pulling from some of the biggest names ever, some of the greatest. Do you think The Shadow Strays lives up to those movies as inspirations for it?
I think it does live up to those inspirations, but also not all of those masters always made great movies, is the thing. And I have a lot of fun with this movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie. My main criticism, though, is just two words: say less. I think there's a lot going on in this movie that is fantastic. Timo's talked about his love of the video game Tenchu, which seems like a major influence for like whatever the actual shadow entity, organization, whatever that is. Like, they just look like ninjas that assassinate people on demand. But this movie is kind of that. And then we get a really great opening sequence, and then we don't get those ninjas for a while. Like, don't give me the shadow ninjas, and then wait another 90 minutes before I get more shadow ninjas, please. Like, give me more of that. I think this movie overall is like it reminds me of a lot of old school action movies, which were probably a little bloated, didn't have the best characters around, but they were a lot of fun. There was a lot of energy. There's something infectious about this movie that I think is just fun to watch, and which is what I really like about him as a filmmaker. This guy is going to go on to do Nobody 2 soon, and he seems like he fits right within that wheelhouse of the sort of like John Wick universe and stuff from that studio. So I think he's super talented. I've always liked the way he's done action. I even liked The Big Four, which was a movie he did a couple of years ago, which was kind of a Jackie Chan action comedy almost. Like, you can really tell what his influences are. I think he's super talented. But this is like one thing where I'm like, oh man, I could see exactly how this movie could be tightened, how we could care a little more about these characters, and even how like the action itself could be polished, because it does commit in the very first action scene the sin of there's a ton of guys just hanging out in the background. I'm like, we see this. We've seen this trope. I understand what it is from like earlier action movies and martial arts movies. Like, I get it. I can live with it. It's fine. Now it seems like, okay, you're aware of that being a potential knock against a major action scene. Block out those other characters, like something else. Like, oh, you're in a room with a handful of characters, close the door where there are like 100 other dudes waiting to attack you with guns or something. Just like, there are ways to logically make that cleaner, I guess. And for ninjas, they're not really doing ninja stuff, are they? Right? They're just gonna pop up in the middle and slice you all open. I'm thinking of like the one of the first scenes where we truly see Batman in action in Batman Begins, right, where he's just popping out of shadows, smoking dudes. Something like that kind of would fit better. So I think Timo's super talented. I think there's a lot of fun to be had this movie, and I really enjoyed watching it. But I also see, with just a bit of tightening, a bit of cleaning up, like this could be a stone cold classic.
Jeff Kanata, I'm so curious what you thought of The Shadow Strays.
Well, Dave, I guess you could say what I thought of The Shadow Strays is best summed up in the form of a limerick. A sword to the cranial cavity can be fun, so why does it have to be? That this film's main attraction is tying its action to so much human depravity.
Hmm.
I
That's a
wanted to
thinker.
have more fun with this movie, but it's so relentlessly bleak.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And, you know, I think you read part of that quote, Dave, as we were introing this, something, the reference of scummy.
Mm-hmm. Abel Ferrara movies, super scummy. Yeah.
This is a scummy movie, right?
Yeah.
This scummy people, scummy movie. And it, you know, it is brutal. The action is, there's a ton of it, often very impressive. The fact that the actors weren't action stars, or
the main actor, Aurora Rivera,
she's incredible.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's her doing it most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I mean, she's really a standout. And I agree that she will have a pretty awesome career. I can't wait to see where she goes and what she does. And I assume there will be more of these movies. So yeah, I mean, I think there are really positives to pluck out of it. I just had a hard time having fun just because of just how relentlessly dark and bleak and dour the movie is. It's just such a journey into depravity. And I also agree with Devindra that
I thought you were going to go for a McCavity rhyme at the end there, you know, but
McCavity
next time,
Lost.
From the movie Cats, you know. So anyway,
wow,
that was my first draft, Dave.
Yeah.
I agree with Devindra that the movie, I mean, it really feels like two movies fighting for control. You can tell that based on the running time. It is two movies length of movie, but also, you know, basically what this movie is a very tried and true defend the innocent young person movie. Have the very skilled killer / action person defend the innocent young person, and we've seen that many times, and it always works. It's great. You gotta defend the innocent, and you're gonna take down all the bad guys who want to hurt the innocent. And then an hour into this movie, a whole other plot shows up.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you were doing great with the, like, take down the horrible underworld that wants to hurt the innocent kid.
Yeah.
You were doing great. Like, let's just stick with that because that works and we get it. And but now you got to have this like whole convoluted other political thing happen. And I don't care. It's just, it is, as Devindra would say less. I would say it's a hat on a hat. It's a hat on a hat. We don't need it. You don't need to add that layer of complexity that far into this movie. I'm already with you. I'm already in. There's already enough drama and stakes, and the action's already flying hot and heavy. We're already seeing limbs fall off and necks explode with blood. We're in it. You don't need to add this whole very complicated and overly confusing, you know, backstory nonsense. It's like it feels like a hat on a hat, and it makes the movie overlong and bloated. And that's a bummer because I do think the action alone in this movie and the lead performance alone is worthwhile. It's just so dark, so bleak, so brutal. There's not really any fun to the action. It's like it is just putting people through hell. And so I didn't have tons of fun with the movie. I admired the technical prowess that is on display of choreographing, executing, shooting these sequences. So I appreciated the movie on a certain level. It's really not my bag.
A few thoughts about the movie from me. I overall liked the movie. I remember when John Wick 1 came out, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. It was either John Wick 1 or John Wick 2. I think I was listening to the Q&A podcast with Jeff Goldsmith, and they were talking to the writers and creators of John Wick, and they were speculating on like what a sequel for. Again, I don't remember. It could have been one or two. They were talking about like what the next movie would be, and he said, I could imagine a scenario where John Wick is like on the run from the high table, and he's out in the middle of nowhere, and then like something comes up where it's like he needs to intervene and like help out and save this person from a challenging situation. You know, like that could be like a scenario for a movie where he's like on the run and you know, and I was like, oh, interesting. You know, like that sounds like a really cool movie. They never did that.
He's just always on the run.
They never did that for John Wick because he's
Uh-huh.
like, we got to get John Wick back running towards the high table, is what they ended up doing. And
Well,
but I'm like, this is basically what that movie would have been. It's like you have this assassin character who is like kind of living on her own, and then she encounters a scenario with this person who really could use her assistance. And I agree. Like I really enjoyed that part of the movie. You know, like that part is really well done. And then unfortunately, I do think this movie is just really, really ambitious, right? Like it really just wants to, you know, what if the kid was related to someone really important? And also, what if this woman was in this part, like this international assassin organization, you know, like, and it tries to kind of shove all these elements and ideas into the movie, and they don't all quite fit, or some of them, at the very least, some of them are more successful than others. Quite a bit more successful. All that said, I do think we haven't really even talked enough in this podcast about how good the action is. Like a lot of the action
it's pretty good.
is really, really impressive. And I will say, I didn't, you know, like Devindra, I didn't love the first action scene. The movie opens with a big action scene, and I was like kind of worried when I watched it, because I was like, is this what the whole movie's going to be? Because
and the movie's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah,
right. because there's this whole trope of like, they're fighting one by one, even though there's like 80 of them, and it's like, why are they fighting one by one?
Point your gun at the person attacking all your friends. How about that? Yeah.
Also, I have to say, this is a personal preference. I'm not saying anything about how good it is. I just don't know if I like this kind of handheld style of action filmmaking. And it can lead to some really cool moments.
Yeah, when the camera rotates,
like when the camera
angle.
rotates, or like there was like one action scene where like somebody's in a chokehold, and then like the camera focuses in on their feet, and they like walk around in a circle to get out of the choke, and that's like there's like really cool moments like that you get with this style. And so I'm not like saying this you should never do this style or anything like that, but like for me, I'm realizing the movie taught me that I like the kind of smoother, medium to wide angle shots where like the madness is what's happening on screen and not like where the camera is moving.
Yeah. This is more like The Villainous, which had an even crazier camera, if you guys remember that movie.
Yeah. But I would say like it got quote unquote better. Like the other action scenes like later on in the film are not all like that, or they're like they have much more smoother camera movements. This is just a personal taste thing. This is not like whether it's good or bad. But I'm like, oh yeah, I think like I like action scenes where the camera movement doesn't feel as raw and immediate, which is definitely something he's going for. But it's like, oh, it's very disorienting for me. I think
it's sort of like I like somebody who can use the tools of like filmmaking, right? Like if you there's a reason why you would have a handheld shot in a dramatic sequence if somebody's running away from something and things are crazy, versus a steadier shot. Yeah,
I just remember there's one action scene that I was watching it, and then it cut to an overhead shot.
Yep.
And I kind of like breathed a sigh of relief because I'm like, oh, like the camera's not moving for a second. Like this is nice. So I wish there was some like a little more balance between, you know, maybe some are like with the camera is like very, very stationary, you know, but hey, again, he clearly has like a vision for what he wants to do. What is also cool about the action scenes is, hey, you know, there's a temptation to be like, once you've seen someone killed by blades and guns, you've seen them all. But it's like they really try to find creative ways to spice it up a little bit, right? To like make it so that it's like there's lots of different ways to kill someone, and lots of different ways in which their body can slowly be dismantled. And that's something that I really appreciate about like the John Wick movies. About this movie is like it doesn't feel, it's repetitive in the sense of like there's just action, you know, you know where the action's going and who's fighting each other and so on. But with every action scene, he tries to show you something slightly different. And I do think that's worth praising and pretty cool. And it makes the movie engaging throughout. So like I largely enjoyed the movie from an action perspective with some stylistic caveats aside. But yeah, I had the same issues with you from a plot perspective. Jeff, you were going to say something else?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay.
generally agree with you. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts, or shall we do a couple of spoilers real quick?
Let's go for spoilers. Yeah.
Let's go for spoilers. Here we go. Spoilers for The Shadow Stray starting right now. I gotta say, I just want to bring up like the one moment in the movie that really stuck out to me was at the very end when she's fighting against Troika,
Uh-huh.
and she like thrusts his skull into the like pointy thing on the side of the post, and then like rips his head out of the pointy thing.
Great.
That
Great
was
stuff.
like, wow, I've never seen that before. You know,
Brutal.
that was amazing.
Brutal. So a number of spoiler things stuck out for me.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
off is they kill the kid.
Yeah.
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 Any other movie would not kill the kid.
No
Yeah.
way. I have
Yeah.
never seen a movie of this kind kill the kid. And I think part of that is it's audacious, and I kind of applaud the audacity of it. But I also think it's a indicator that this movie becomes a different movie halfway through. It's like the reason you can kill the kid and keep this movie going is because we're in a different movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of a problem for me because the end of this movie is so weird. Because not the very, very end, which is also weird. But I mean, like the climax of this movie is like her having this mother-daughter moment with her mentor, and none of that is set up for most of the movie.
We needed more of them together.
It's a payoff to something that wasn't the movie for like 70% of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just so to me, that is weird.
It's forced. It's totally forced.
Totally forced.
Would have liked to see more of Hannah Mallison as Umbra, as her mentor, because there's a shot of her pulling out the katana and she flexes her arms. And I'm like, this is cinema, guys. This is what I'm here for. Yes.
I will say what was weird to me about that scene was they're having this mother-daughter moment, but didn't Umbra murder her mom? Like,
yes.
Umbra murdered her mom.
The whole thing is super weird, but it's also like, make that movie if you want.
Yep.
Like have that be the movie from the beginning, because it's not. It is so not that movie for so much of this movie. And I don't know. It really struck me as discordant, because it's like, oh, I'm supposed to give a shit about this relationship that you haven't. The movie itself hasn't given a shit about for so long.
It feels like it's pulling from a few things, like the original the killer, where like the killer has like doubts about what they did and who they hurt because of their job. So that's the beginning of this movie, but also reminds me of like the Bourne supremacy at the end, where it's like, Bourne has regrets for how he hurt this person, and they're trying to shove that in here too.
No, I get it. I get the
shame.
themes, but it just feels like they're manufactured at the end instead of.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also some like practical things by the point where it's like Nomi and Umbra fighting. It's two women with dark hair wearing all black. It is really hard to tell who is fighting who at that point. Like, give somebody a flash of color, just something to help me understand the choreography of what I'm watching. I think this movie falls victim to that a couple of times too. Like, it's hard to, because it's so shaky, because everything moves so quickly, it's hard to like track who you're supposed to be tracking. And I think way back, like that's something martial arts movies have done a good job of, like trying to make you see.
Well, I think that's partly due to the fact that most of this movie takes place at night.
Yes, that too. They're all dressed in black.
They're all dressed, there's like very few daytime action scenes, so it's like that would have also helped to identify people. But all these like little decisions that go into like how to make these scenes that like may or may not have an impact on how you perceive them. But I agree, Jeff. It kind of just becomes a different movie. It's like two movies in one, basically. It's like these two movies, and they kind of fight against each other. And he's trying something, right? Like he's trying. This is, and I think it's clearly based on the ending, supposed to be the beginning of a franchise, right?
And a good reveal of that end, because we're sitting down watching an Indonesian action movie, and who do we want to see? Want to see that guy from the raid. Want to see
that guy does show up, and it's pretty cool when that guy shows up. But also because that guy's there, and there's that guy. But I didn't like the girl that shows up. Is like
Yayan Ruhian.
Yayan
Ruhian. Yeah.
I like the girl that shows up, and we're all just gonna let her walk away and be the villain in the next
movie, man. Next movie. Next movie. That's a very that girl's also very much an anime villain type of person. Like she would appear in like or like more of like a Japanese action movie. So. There's possibilities here, that's what we're building up to.
It felt like I had the feeling of like what much of the audience probably feels at a post-credit Marvel movie when they're like, well, who the fuck is this guy? You know? And some people in the audience are like, whoa! And other people are just like, what? That's just a new character now?
It would also, how badass if this person came up in Master Barai just like, that took them down in one shot or something. Really, really cement who Yayan is. I'm
you guys
looking
have a
forward to
favorite character from the movie? I gotta say, I really liked Taskia Namya, who played Soraya in the movie. She's that woman who is working at the club,
kind
of
crazy, yeah.
And then you find out she's like kind of
she's the shotgun chick,
and like she doesn't have that many lines in the movie. She like has some scenes early on, and then like
screaming,
says almost nothing for the rest of the movie.
Screams and shoots a shotgun. That's what she does.
Yeah, and I just thought she is a total badass. That's my feeling.
I think for me, it's really
her death
Umbra.
is awesome too. Getting hit
her
by
death
the car.
is awesome. Her death is super awesome. For me, it's Umbra though, because to me that is a really, again, the movie should be more about her and her relationship to Nomi 13.
I agree.
Because like that is the thing. I think Umbra comes in and basically offs everybody in the first action sequence too, and we see her as the sort of like mature, more powerful version of like the 13 character. There's just a lot there. There's so much there. Would love more of them interacting, more of their relationship, and also Umbra being more of a badass. Yeah.
Another thing I want to point out that I think is cool that you don't see very often in movies is the nail grenade.
Yep.
That's pretty rad.
That's
rough. How that thing plays out and like shutting the door, like throwing the nail grenade, shutting the door. So cool.
That's so cool. Jeff, I would highly recommend if you like this style of action, check out The Big Four, which is more of an action comedy type of deal, like a classic Jackie Chan movie.
I'm into that.
Really fun, less bleak. And really shows like what Timo's has range, basically.
It just feels like so much of this movie is just like, the worst people doing the worst things to other people all the time. I just felt like it's like the movie establishes it right in that first action sequence where the woman in the kimono just gets mercilessly gunned down for no reason at all. It's like, oh, that's the movie we're in now. It's like, this is going to be dark.
Absolutely. Any other moments you want to highlight? You guys have a favorite fight scene or anything like that? I liked the club action stuff was pretty good. I thought was, I enjoyed that. I also think like Troika's introduction was pretty awesome. Just like having a character crush another character's skull like right away. It's like, oh wow, this guy is super powered basically.
Yeah.
And then there were some moments about the like final action scenes that I thought were really well done. I can't stand the idea of like having a plastic mask on and like the plastic melting. Like that just is like really upsetting.
It's pretty rough.
And that happens twice in the movie. Once at the Jackie's apartment, and then the next time at the end with the GIMP mask on. It's just like
it's a little rough.
Don't like that.
I don't quite understand Jackie as a character who is both like we want to be sympathetic towards him because he's not as bad as everybody else, but at certain points, like he straight up stops her from killing the big bad who goes on to kill other people. Like it's confusing. There's a lot of confusing things happening too here.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I will say that him as a character does not feel fully drawn to me because like he takes 13 to his boss, and it's like, why would he do that? Doesn't he know that it would almost certainly result in his death, which it does,
There's a lot of practical decisions taken. Why by the end?
But maybe he's not that smart, and so maybe that's why he did it. But then he
has a grandma or a mom.
Yeah, but then he's loyal to his boss, which is why he stops 13 from killing him. But then like at the end, he tells 13 that Manji's dead. It's like, I'm not sure why he's doing anything. Basically.
Why is he? It's like at the end too, when like the shadow, the boss of 13 and Umbra and everybody is like, okay, Umbra, take care of this problem, and walks away. I'm like, dude, you're already not satisfied with her ability to like often,
you have a gun in your hand.
You have a gun in your hand. Don't just walk away and like be annoyed. That's just bad management. When you just do the job yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
This movie's gunplay too is it takes the John Wick close-up shooting thing and it adds I'm not just going to shoot you a close up. I'm going to empty my clip when you are clearly already dead. I'm still shooting.
That's
you've
the
been
Timo
dead
thing.
for minutes, and I'm still just emptying my clip into you.
Excess stabbing, excess shooting, I feel like has been a trademark for him for a while. But you know what? At least they're not wearing bulletproof suits.
I'm just impressed by the sheer like every time somebody gets stabbed or shot is like a visual effect or a special effect or something, and it happens thousands of times during the course of the movie,
does.
And it's just like the sheer magnitude of the amount of work that is needed to like pull this off.
The blood budget alone.
Blood budget.
If there, if it even was a blood budget, like I don't know how much of it was visual effects. You know,
I'm sure.
Like,
I mean, I'm saying painting. One of the things I dug about this movie, and I like in action movies in general, is when the main character is also effed up. Like
right.
It's not easy to get through this, and she's just as messed up at the end as
they
everybody.
Deteriorate. Their clothing becomes more and more soaked through with blood.
Yeah, by the end, she's just bathed in blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, shout out to Aurora Ribeiro. 2 months of like intensive training to accomplish a lot of this. So
she's so good,
fantastic,
so good in this,
and so young. She started filming when they were like 18, I believe. So yeah,
it's not an easy thing to believe that someone can take down a room full of people,
right?
You know? And I do. I was like, I'm in. I buy it. I buy that she's this badass.
Well, I mean, speaking of like bad management, Devindra, like what was the plan at the end? It's like, First of all, if I'm just gonna put this out there. If I'm showing up to a drug deal, and the person on the other end of the drug deal has a gun pointed at the person who's holding the drugs or the money,
not a good sign.
I'm gonna have some questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, what's going on there? Like, why? Usually, you don't have a person who you are threatening. To do the job.
Seems a little dangerous.
Money.
Yeah,
that's weird. And then I guess the goal is like the deals are literally physically laid out in such a way that what happens in the movie can't happen. Like they're literally like physically super far apart. Like a representative goes up from each to the middle barrel thing, and it's like, and she's like, okay, now run over and shoot him in the head, and it's like, how is this different than you just doing it? Like,
I know.
What's your plan here, buddy?
How is this? How is it? Because
it's so funny. We're like, we need your services of a ninja. It's like, how am I going to do it? Well, you're going to walk over there and you're going to shoot him. It's like any idiot could do that.
When they said that, I was like, oh, this is going to be super. She's going to like go into their lair. And,
she's going to like jump down from the ceiling.
What only a ninja could do. It's like, no. Walk across over there.
No, we're doing a freaking like we're doing a buy. And we're all spread out. It's like, so walk over there and shoot him in the. It's like, literally everyone saw that you were with them.
Yeah,
like literally saw that 13 was with them. Like they're gonna blame you if this woman walks over there and shoots him.
And there's no ninjaing involved.
Weird.
It was a little weird.
Kind of weird. There's so many scenarios in this movie where I'm like, that could have been, I don't know, maybe a little smarter, at least in terms of what the criminals were doing. Why was the politician there? He didn't need to be there.
That's another thing.
He didn't need to be there.
Just hanging out.
He would never be there.
He would never have Manji duty.
Yeah,
exactly. No way. Plausible deniability, baby.
Yeah. Neither of them would probably be there. But anyway.
Another cool actiony thing that I thought was clever, I'd never seen before, is the bad guy kicking through the window of the car, leaving shattered glass. She taking his foot and sliding it across the shards of glass.
Yeah.
Clever idea. Very clever idea.
There's a couple of moments like that where it's like, oh, like somebody kicks a foot through a glass and you're like, oh, I hope no one actually touches that, and then boom, they slam the leg down on it. It's like, like. Yeah. The thing that I fear the most.
Everything is the most brutal way this could happen.
Yeah. I was thinking about it though. It's like, why tie Manji in with the like politics of it all? And I guess they wanted to give bigger stakes to the whole Manji thing, right? Like
hat on a hat.
It's like, because if it's just Manji, if it's just some kid, like
what's some gangsters?
We are already invested because it's a kid.
Right.
It's an innocent kid. It doesn't need, you don't need all that.
Yeah.
I think it's to basically be like, why would anyone give a shit? Like, there needs to be a reason why the crime family gives a shit about the kid. Like,
Sure.
like
Right.
if it's just some random kid, then no one cares. She can have a kid, no one cares. Like, but it needs to be, oh, this kid is critical to some
I
component,
guess,
which
but
in this case is
I don't
his
agree with
election.
that because we know
Yeah.
that the weird
Right.
masked dude has a fetish for like beating up people. So like he
It
wants to
could
beat
have
up the
just
kid.
been the kid saw his mom get murdered by the crime family, and
It
they
doesn't
need
even.
to.
Yeah.
It just
you know.
be, like you don't get to take what's mine. The kid's mine. Screw you. I'm the evil bad guy. You don't get what I don't. And none of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It doesn't work. Like, why is the kid even alive? Is the thing. If he was a threat, they
Right.
would just kill him. You know, like that's the thing. So I feel like the logical next step for a lot of the characters and the plot points weren't fully figured through. So,
I think it's yeah, like he wanted. My guess is he wanted to give it this grand operatic scope of like it has to. This goes all the way to the highest levels of government, and also there's a shadowy assassin organization. And I think what our reaction is, you didn't need all that. Like
Right.
just have it's this woman and the kid, and that's like you don't need the international assassin organization. You don't need the kid, but it's like also. On the flip side, it's like that's how you enable these massive action scenes theoretically, right? Like, who has the resources to have like 80 guys?
That's never stopped movies in the past,
right?
Yeah, this movie is very much Monkey Man too.
Yes.
Like it's a quest for revenge. But the politician at the top is corrupt, also tied to religion. Like I don't know how this reflects like Indonesian society or anything, but I also know like there's a lot of political mess that they're dealing with too. Yeah.
All right, folks. Any other thoughts on the Shadow Strays? Yeah, I had a good time. Sounds like Devindra had a good time.
Go watch his
Jeff
other
Lesso.
movies. Like this dude does make bangers too. So Night Comes for Us, Headshot, and also again his VHS 2 segment with Gareth is it Edwards or Evans. I always forget. The Raid guy.
Evans.
Evans. Fantastic stuff.
Looking forward to that movie, by the way.
Yes.
His what is it called? Havoc. That movie apparently has finally finished shooting. So I'm really excited about that. I imagine it was probably a hellish production because it's been years in the making. In any case, I think Timo is one of the most exciting action filmmakers working today, and his work is worth checking out. And at the end of the day, it is really impressive that Timo Tjahjanto made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.